Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Roach Wiggle, February 22nd, 2024. Winter is basically over. This is like the shortest winter ever. I'm going to check the forecast for the next couple days here. Let's see, it was like 65 yesterday, 54 today, going back down in the 10s for like a day, and then coming back up. And then by next weekend, we're back in the 50s, 60s, and then back down a bit, and then back up. And hopefully it just kind of keeps warming up from there. So this has been wonderful, but tremendously stressful for me. Speaking of tremendously stressful, so we had the auction to raise money for the car topper and all that stuff. Pardon the disheveled look. We have entered another phase of misery. I don't know if the word has made it around yet, but my car has a critical engine failure thing. The 2018 Ford Escape has a engineering flaw where the coolant line runs through the engine, and if it gets too hot or something happens, the coolant line will leak into the cylinders and can cause failure and blah, blah, blah. My car has that apparently, or has the beginning of that. I got the error code for it. It is still drivable locally, but is not drivable to say the Florida trip I was supposed to go on. So it's looking very likely like that's not going to happen, and that I'm going to be paying anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 for them to replace the engine on the car. Although we are looking into alternative options that may make more sense. So that's where I'm at right now. I saved up for that topper, and the topper is. I even said, hey, I'll get the really big one. And I got the really big one, and it's beautiful, and it's nice. And it was more than I originally planned to pay, and I was fine with that. And now the trip's not happening. So sending it back, getting a refund for it. So not the best not the best news and stuff this week. So staying positive, though. Thinking about it as, well, maybe being stuck here is a chance to get on top of stuff and get ready for the move and all those things. Before I continue, let me say hello to everybody, to a person. Zen Monkeys here. Bahijager, Jojo Bugs, Anthony Green, Exotic Wilderness, LC. Hello, everybody. Somebody had mentioned about the super chats and whatnot were not showing up. Hello, Altered Pants and Zero Cool Ninja. Welcome. Somebody brought up the super chats and all of that jazz have not been popping up. And I did do a little bit of looking into that before I started the stream. Not a lot, but I am eligible for ads. So I am eligible to run ads, I guess, at the click of a button during a live stream, and I wanted to see if how everybody feels about that. Maybe if I really pick up the energy after the ad, maybe people would appreciate that. Maybe do a little Roach Wiggle jiggle of some sort after, I don't know. But just throwing that out there. In addition to, I got to figure out how to turn on the other stuff, but I don't want to scare away our 20 regular viewers with me selling out. So anybody out there? Anybody had anything interesting happen the last week? Again, it's been a really sucky week for me, and it's just been a sucky week with the whole car issue thing coming up. Again, I can still drive the car, so it's not an acute thing. This is not I will never financially recover from this situation. But it's wow, things could be really crappy for also it'll take one to 4 months to fix because it needs to be taken back to the dealership, and there's obviously a huge line for this. It's been a common problem, but the federal government has not yet issued a recall on it. It's unclear if they even will. So, yes. Leaf Mimics, Exotic Wilderness, you reminded me I was going to tell the people here that I have a large group of leaf mimics available. I will go into that. Anthony Green says, started the stream with a 65 to 75-minute guided Roach meditation. This will bring in the people. Perhaps one day. Guided Roach meditation. The guided meditation's more Angela's thing, but I can get behind the Roaches. Exotic Wilderness has a happy colony of Borneo leaf mimics. That's good. Again, I need to. I did a dumb thing. Did a dumb thing, and I set mine up without a barrier, and their population exploded, and now I'm annoyed and also inundated with them. So I will probably be pulling a bunch of adults to another enclosure and then making the rest of them available. So if anybody wants a good number of Borneo leaf mimics, anybody speak up here. If you got anything to swap, let me know. Otherwise, I'll throw them in the Roach Crossing Discord and see if anybody wants a good sized group of them. Probably about 100 or maybe even more. I was able to do roach husbandry. Most of my colonies are doing pretty well. I am unfortunately Opisthoplatya orientalis are just kind of struggling to get any sort of momentum. I'm not sure how that's gonna go. And Eurycotis decipiens, I might have put them into a good setup too late and shot myself in the foot, and the group may not produce again, so I may have to beg somebody for a group of those. Do not wait to split cultures, everybody. When you start seeing the signs that maybe things are overcrowded or too many or things have just gone too well for too long, just do a little split, just into another little enclosure so you can keep that momentum, because if you lose it, it's going to take a long time to get it back. Let us thank the small people who kept those leaf mimics alive, now readily available, saved from death. That was Rhabdoblata rustica, Anthony. But the rustica situation may actually be happening again. But I think I pulled mine out. I didn't take my own advice. Always take your own advice, too. I said, Kyle, you should pull these into a 10-gallon and split the group and be proactive. And I don't really need that much space for them. No, I don't really need that many rustica. I'm going to just put them into a giant size faunarium. No, they didn't do anything. And could have been a bunch of reasons for that. Humidity or population density, blah, blah, blah. But I checked on the rustica, and there were a couple of nymphs. And so not all hope is lost. And I did this, and I finally did put them into a 10-gallon, maybe like a month or two ago. And it's just taken up until now to have babies, which is ridiculous. But it seems like people have some other roach keepers have given up on keeping epilamprine like this. And yeah, it sucks. But again, I think I pulled them out of it. I will. What did I miss while picking up pizza, says Alan? Just me complaining about almost killing Rhabdoblata rustica. The Borneo leaf mimics are doing great, though, Alan. I'm about to split them. Exotic Wilderness asking about Eclugiae Montenegro. How long will they mature till they mature into adults? They're probably sexually mature already. Maybe the biggest ones are. Into full-size adults is going to depend on your temperature and your population density, but it could be 1 month or it could be more like 3 months. Oh, that's right. Alan has 3 female rustica. Yeah, Alan, if you don't have any males and you don't think they're fertilized, I still have a couple of males. It couldn't hurt to combine them with the current group that I have, because TJ's lost his. I think Brandon lost his. I don't think Ty has them. So they're on the way out, which is why they're going to be listed as an intermediate or an advanced species on the Roach Crossing overhaul. Speaking of the overhaul, this live stream will be ending pretty promptly at 8 because Chris and I will be doing some private discussion and work on website stuff. There's some clarification and blah, blah, blah that needs to be done. And that's what I will be doing at 8 is we're going to get some more movement on that. Another reason why it's a mixed blessing for going to Florida is well, I had that time set aside. Now I could say, hey, let me finish the site in the like 10 days that I was going to be gone for and get it up and going before the move. So I also, maybe next week's live stream will be, I want to talk to people here, and just, again, some of it's just if I say stuff out loud, I can process some of my thoughts better instead of going in circles in up in here, which sometimes happens. But I would like to figure out a layout and kind of some things that I'm going to need for the future building, because the momentum after this Saturday may really start to build on getting moved out of here, and the whole bug building and moving and all that stuff really is going to pick up some speed, I think, depending on how things go. So I think it would be nice of me to sort of sit down and think about some stuff like, what do I need? Like there's going to need to be a bathroom. It's going to be a full-on work building. There's obviously, I want an office for what few conferences. Well, I won't say that. Maybe there'll be more in the future, but more formal meetups and conference type things I'm going to have for people coming to see the facility and whatnot. But also should be the future home of the Roach Wiggle, would be the conference room / office. So I need to think about that, and then other stuff like I basically need like a bunch of kitchen stuff, like a huge sink and table space, and maybe instead of a oven, a kiln. How much should kilns even cost? Kiln. Oh boy, kilns are. Let's see. Why do I have to have such a volume of stuff? Oh, I just need something that gets stuff really hot. Here's a brick armadillo clay and supplies. Here's a big old brick kiln. Electric kilns, gas kilns. Gas kiln, honestly, could be the way to go. I think the building will have a gas line to it. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration. All right, couple $1,000 for a kiln is not the worst for something I will use every day. The problem is the volume. I might just need to use might just need to keep doing what I'm already doing with like large vats of stuff for sterilizing. So Exotic Wilderness asking about the Neostylopiga rhombifolia Chinese hobby stock. Ridiculously easy. Again, I think people were just keeping regular harlequins wrong for years, myself included, and then you'd keep them too dry, and then they wouldn't reproduce because they would be messed up. They would have been stunted internally, and then you're like, oh, well, I guess they're really difficult. But now I've been keeping them so humid constantly, it's like there's an endless supply of them. But yeah, designated space for gear and materials that are being actively used, and then there will be storage space for stuff that can be grabbed at all times of year to then be sterilized. That'll be more important. How hot? Pressure cooker hot. I need to look into that. I need to run some leaves on the stove and take a thermometer and see what the water temperature is to see what's been working for sterilizing things. LC has had no babies from. I've had no babies from A test lab. I have also had some die off. With the males, I keep them moist. Lots of bark. Not sure what's wrong. LC, you can always send me an enclosure picture. Male tessellata or male archimandrita are not the most long-lived. Seems to be between 6 months and maybe a year-ish, and longer for females, two-ish years for females in good conditions. So, yeah, so that's as far as the building stuff goes, stuff like that I need to think about. All American 941 pressure cooker, rock solid. Let me look that up. Unless you're memeing. Oh. All American 941 41 quart pressure canner. That's not too bad. How much is 41 quarts? It's 15 and a quarter inches by 14 and a quarter by 19 inches. That's pretty sizable. Might need more than that, though, honestly. Do they have a bigger one? Do they have like a... that site doesn't seem to have a bigger one. That is quite reasonable. I mean, you could run multiple at the same time. But I think if I could get something up to the, let's see, 41 quarts, 2 gallons. Oh, it's a sterilized 10 gallons of substrate. If I could get up to sterilizing about 30 gallons of material at a time, 30 gallons of material at a time is a good volume to work with in batches. 10 gallons, that's not what I want to be at. Media autoclaves are huge. Yeah, I don't quite need it. Not gonna really go for an autoclave, Jojo. I know we had that discussion. I think that this is more for sterilizing inbound stuff, and I think the pressure cooker is probably a good way to go. I just need more than that. That's the biggest one they make. Come on, somebody's got to make like an industrial, like 30+ gallon pressure cooker. Spending a couple grand on that would be more than worth it. That would make my life so much easier. Just get a batch of something going at the start of every day, and then by the end of the day it's done, and then you clear it out, and then the next day you put another batch in. That's a great... I need to have some flow through on stuff like that to have good things available. Also, while we're on the topic of this, just something that I looked up because I was thinking about ways to get the tannins out of oak leaves faster. I've discovered that a lot of tannins have increased solubility in water that is more alkaline. So I'm wondering, I mean, the well water is more alkaline as I understand it, but also mixing in the dolomite into the water and then adding the leaves might help to speed up the process. So just things witch's cauldron. Yeah, honestly, you know, I don't know how you do a big old gigantic cauldron like that, but that's kind of basically what I need is a gigantic cauldron. So, yeah, 10 gallons is about the biggest residential pressure cooker I've seen. Commercial pressure cookers are called autoclaves. Oh. Heat speeds, tan removal as does extra water changes. I did not realize that they definitely. I mean, 30-gallon potassium bicarbonate for alkalinity. That is... Oh, hi, Eric Matthews. Let's see, potassium bicarbonate. Okay, but just baking soda. That could work. Hang on, see how much it is for like a... Again, I'm going to have to start buying some of the stuff in gross to make it make sense. We'll see. I will have the time and space to mess around with this stuff eventually and figure things out. Hopefully, what we can hope. So, but yeah, I guess maybe a 30-gallon autoclave then is what I might need for this sort of thing, and hope that doesn't break the bank. So, or maybe just multiple 10-gallon ones. I don't like the idea of multiple. I like doing like one homogeneous batch of something and being done with it. But I digress. This is a topic for a different. Do you hate the idea of shopping used? I wouldn't mind getting a used something. I would be a little afraid with a dangerous piece of equipment like something pressurized that I could end up getting hurt by something faulty about it. Is my only concern, really, I guess. Um, but yeah, again, this is stuff I think next week will be a better time. I one of the things that I really need to figure out is, what degree of electrical wiring does the place need, because it's going to need to be done very well. I would like to go above my expectations for what kind of wiring this place is going to need, and it's probably going to need those ceiling drop down outlets uh, because that's the smart thing to do instead of a bunch of wall outlets. Obviously, it's very dumb. They've got a 65 liter tabletop autoclave. That again, you're getting up past the 10 gallons, so you have my attention. That might do it. 17 gallons. Oh yeah, here's a 150 liter. Okay, here we go. Looking at mushroom grow supplies seems to be the way to go. Again, very huge overlap. 40 gallons for $3,399. Commercial pressure sterilizer, digital electric mushroom autoclave. Space of a small refrigerator. Top loading. Oh, it's beautiful. All right, we're putting that in the bookmarks thing. Looks like we might need to do an auction thing for this at some point. Oh, yeah. 40 gallons. I like that. Weighs 320 pounds. That's great. And this is, I think it's U.S. made, too. This is great. This is wonderful. This could work. Again, it's $3,400, but it would make my life so much easier to do this. Wonderful. All right. Well, this obviously this discussion can be postponed because it's not like there needs to be a deep dive here. It seems like there are multiple commercial units readily available. It's just a matter of figuring out how big I want to go with this sort of stuff. But anyways, all right. Well, we've had this discussion. This is great. So an autoclave is not difficult, and that saves me from a couple of things. I've also thought for faster turnover time, maybe even one day two autoclaves, one for incoming material, one for outgoing or recyclable material. Sourdough culture. Eric, if your roaches are loving the discards from your daughter's sourdough culture, then keep giving it to them. LC will be going to SAG in Ignacio, Baja. And I was wondering if there's any bugs in the area I can collect for you. Also, sorry I was going to email this, but I ran out of time. Well, it's you're going to Baja, which is not part of the United States, so it's technically illegal. It is illegal to bring things back unpermitted, other than maybe maybe arachnids. You might still on the books need a Fish and Wildlife Services thing. But if you were to be keeping an eye out for bugs, just for your own purposes to see bugs and maybe collect some bugs while you were there, you know, there's lots of Aranavega, darkling beetles. There are crickets, earwigs, almost every single bug that you find. I think right now there's a ban on Mexican arachnids. Interesting. Almost every single bug you find would be extremely coveted by people who collect and breed bugs in the United States. So keep that in mind while you're down there, that almost everything you find somebody probably wants somewhere in the U.S. But you will likely see a lot of cool and endemic roaches and plenty of other things there. Banamicrinus asperatipes. That's interesting. Worldwide ban on Mexican arachnids. I wonder what the deal is with that. But there was so we talked about the autoclaves and a couple of other things. There was something else I was going to. I can't wait to have an autoclave. Oh. Man, this would be great. I'm so excited. Anyways, I was gonna bring up some Alan. Alan, if you ship me a box, I probably need Uricotis decipiens. Just letting you know. Just so you know here. Maybe Mexico trying to protect species. Nah, that may or may not be it. I don't know. Maybe on tarantulas though. I don't know. I don't know though. I have to read some more or talk to some more people on this. I was gonna say something I was gonna bring up was something that's doing well. What is doing well here? Pretty much everything in this room is doing well, which is good. There's some of the Aranavega that need to gain some traction. They probably will over the summer, but for the most part, everything else in here is doing really well, which is good. It's nice when that happens. Including the vampire cockroaches, the thorax. I have a bunch of females with babies on them, and I have a bunch of babies in the enclosure, and I don't know where they got this ability to, but apparently baby second instar thorax can walk right over barriers, or maybe it could be because my barrier is too thick and they're so light. It could be that the barrier is a little bit dirty, but it's not really that dirty. But thorax seem to have a special ability for walking over stuff. So for anybody who wants them in the future, and I'm sure there will be a lot of people, secure enclosure is the way to go. But it was a species that I didn't know if I would get, and I got them, and they're doing very well. They're doing not exceptional, but I'm not familiar with the upper ceiling for this species. Like I find out it's like Rhabdoblata rustica, where you go from a couple of adults to like several hundred in the course of a few months. They seem to be slower than that. There's too much parental investment for them to be I think reproduce that quickly. So, but fun little guys, the vampire cockroaches, and I even saw a female who had deformed wings from a bad molt, and the babies were still up on her and seemed to be doing well. So it seems that even if the female has deformed wings, they can still raise babies okay. So another fun thing, I got some fun bugs from everybody's favorite longtime bug keeper, from Orrin McMonagle over the weekend. I went to Ohio and I did a partial swap and got some stuff, some things that I either continue to kill or some things that I don't have, and some things that I didn't know that I wanted to have. So I got some armadillo tuberculatus. I really like them. They stole the that looks like that ban may have been lifted. Okay, Zen Monkey says. anyways, I got the armadillo tuberculatus. I'm super excited about. All of my other armadillo are doing very well for me, and so I'm excited for little bumpy guys. What else I get? Some Saint Lucia yellows and some Porcellio expansus witches potion, and there are other isopods. A couple other things I just kind of need to round out, like this Canary Islands spiky. It's spelled 800 different ways all over the place, but they are spiky isopods that came from the Canary Islands, which is off the coast of Africa and Spain. So I think that they should probably properly be called Canary Islands spiky. It's not stated which island they came from. I also got some fun new stick bugs to add to the unkillable stick bug collection. Those are, maybe I'll take one out. Everybody wants show bug, so maybe we'll give one of them a look right now. Here we are. I think, is this the Get Stick Bug stick bug? It might be the Get Stick Bug stick bug. I love me some Get Stick Bug. Put it up there. There we go. It's a Parabacillus hesperus, I think. Parabacillus hesperus. From, maybe we have some Californians here that can tell me. So this is from this stock has been kept in captivity since 2012 and came from somebody whose user profile said California for their residents. And they said that these came from an Adams Isle or Adams Island. And I tried looking to see if there was a place in California called Adams Island and couldn't find anything. So if there's anybody here who knows, oh, actually, yeah, this place locals call it this sometimes. Or, yeah, I was there, they renamed it, or, whatever. If anybody has any more information on an Adams Island in California or on the West Coast, let me know. So we're going to, there we go, just mute that. So that's where these are from. And again, adding to the Unkillables collection, they were feeding on arrowleaf viburnum, or it's one of the, I don't think it's arrowleaf viburnum. It's one of the Asian viburnums that's more evergreen than the U.S. ones tend to be. And I've also offered them some really decrepit rose leaves. In December, I was like, oh, those still look good for bugs to eat. And then by now it's they're dried and withered and they've lost all their green. And I offered them some of those. They seem to have eaten them, even though, again, they're basically dead dry and almost falling off of the plant. And then the one that the thing that I was most amused by, because Oren had brought up that these eat grass. So I've got some, it's either barnyard grass or orchard grass coming up in some of my pots. It's from all the straw and the hay and all the bunny and guinea pig food that I have. All kinds of agricultural grasses popping up, and they're evergreen in the cool season. So with the warm weather, they've grown just a little bit, but they still squeezed out some growth in the fall. Anyways, so I took one of those out of one of my pots, just grass, and I stuck it in the stick bug cage. And lo and behold, it took them a day or two, but I saw abundant munch marks in the grass that I stuck in. So they will literally touch and eat grass, which is amazing. This is great. Again, the list of easy stick bugs hopefully will continue to grow. We've got the megaphasmas in this tank. Maybe I will be so bold as to take out one of the megaphasmas from the tank. That are doing great. Dry Eastern red cedar, you just put a whole big chunk of it in there. and they just, they strip it of the most palatable pieces over the course of about maybe a month, and just wonderful. This is a U.S. native, both U.S. natives. This is to the western U.S. and then megaphasmas to basically the entire eastern U.S. Up to like Canada, but not quite there. I think the northernmost records like in Illinois for megaphasma. So okay, the California people have never heard of Adams Island, so maybe the mystery will always will go on. But it's a good sized stick bug. Despite the legginess, they're not really delicate like diaphragmera are. Like I've manhandled them a bit to get them into the enclosure and get them out, and they've been fine with it. And they also, unlike most or all of other stick bugs, they actually lay their eggs like in clusters, and they stick them to stuff. They're long and pointy, and they just stick them in groups on things. And Oren had said that he's seen them lay egg clusters on each other sometimes, which is very amusing. But easy stick bugs, dreams come true with easy stick bugs, really. So yeah, I love these guys. It was something I didn't know I needed to have until he had made them available. So yeah. So I don't know when I'll have some available. I don't think they've laid any fresh eggs yet, but she looks look at the abdomen. She looks very plump. So they're obviously happy with the food that I've offered them. Big mesh cage, good airflow. I spray once a day. Sometimes I spoil them. I spray twice a day. It's very easy to do that in here. We have a question about the Neostylopiga rhombifolia. Very high humidity. So high that you have condensation on the back of the enclosure at all times, is what I would say. And won't squirt your eye with blinding juice. Now that I don't know, but they don't seem to have any. They don't seem to have any defensive secretions or anything. I feel like I would have been hit already, and I think their gimmick is the crypsis, considering they look just like grass. So they don't spray, says Alan. Alan gives his professional opinion that they do not spray. That's a good bug. This is a good bug. This right here is a good bug. Megaphasma is a good bug. I love them. I hope that I can continue to accrue these easy stick bugs from people who are like, oh yeah, I fed this one romaine lettuce. It's a species from Western Texas, and I gave them romaine lettuce, and they have been breeding for 20 years for me or something. And it's like, oh man, you can't help myself at that point, you know. But yeah, we will welcome you, Parabacillus hesperus locality, Adams Island, that we have no idea where they come from. Any green forms? No, they're all brown. I think you could probably induce that with higher humidity, so we'll see what they end up looking like in the spring. But I do wonder, is this if not Parabacillus hesperus, I wonder if the genus Parabacillus is the get stick bug. Maybe. I don't think I've ever caught these or been offered them. Definitely not Hesperus. Maybe the eastern ones, but again, years in captivity and they eat grass. What else could you could live in the dead suburbs and you could still feed these with your lawn. I was wondering, do you have leeches? I used to have leeches. I don't really like giving blood to leeches, and it's a bit more work to try and feed leeches than I care to do. I suppose if I wanted to at any time, I could breed snail leeches. I have done that accidentally. The tadpole snails at U of M, when I used to run the little bug zoo there, would have outbreaks of snail leeches. They go in cycles, so the snails would boom, and the snail leeches would boom, the snails would decline, the whole cycle would go over and over again. There's an Adams Island in Massachusetts and an Allentown, Pennsylvania. So that's again, this is assuming that the identification is correct. This is Parabacillus Hesperus and not the eastern Parabacillus. This would then have to come from a West Coast Adams Island. But let's see. Does anybody here know how to differentiate the members of the genus Parabacillus? Let's see. 2 species. There's the Colorado shorthorn walking stick. Let's see. Map. Maybe there isn't an eastern species. Maybe there's an eastern genus. All right. So there's the Colorado shorthorn walking stick with his Parabacillus coloratus. And then there's the western, which is the Hesperus. So I don't know how to tell the two of them apart. And it seems that there is not a representative of this genus in eastern North America. So let's see. Not finding anything for how to tell them apart. Maybe it's a very minor character, perhaps. See anything else in this tribe? It seems like this is a western clade, subfamily Heteronomiidae. Yeah, it really looks like there's only before I go sounding like a dingus. Looking at INET records, let's see what we can find here. About this, maybe it's the only members of this clade. Bug Guide says these are Western. Read Bug Guide description. Thank you, Alan, for sending me back to where we all originated, which was Bug Guide before we were spoiled with localities of things we shouldn't have been receiving localities of. Parabacillus palmeri. Don't know where that comes into things. It's another member of the genus. California and Oregon in the west, eastern Arizona, Nevada, Utah, New Mexico, and Texas. Authors differ in opinion as to whether or not Hesperus and Coloratus represent a single species or two. Mostly they've been considered as different, the two different distribution, and in proportion of the last abdominal segment of the males. In P. hesperus about as long as wide, and P. coloratus about 2 times as long as wide. P. hesperus is apparently found in West Texas, blah, 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 blah. P. coloratus occurs northeast of this and north to about South Dakota, Wyoming, and Idaho. The two probably come into contact and perhaps blend in Texas, blah, 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 blah. But it seems that there's only, in this family of walking sticks, these are the only ones in the U.S. So potentially 2-ish species. But as you can see, sizable. Not gigantic, but a sizable stick bug. I like them a lot. Grass. They eat grass. So wonderful. And they take it dry, too. Dry grass. Dry and eats grass. It's like you could not ask for anything better, other than the Megaphasma, which have also been great. You just bump the size and make the diet just about as easy. So I guess now I could maybe spoil us with some Megaphasma because they've gotten big. They're approaching their final size. So let's find a nice big one for the chat. I know there was a real big, nice one in here somewhere, but can't seem to find it. Whoop. I can't seem to find the big, presumably en route to becoming female one, but this is a male that's probably pre-subadult. So you can see at pre-subadult, this megaphasma is already the size or bigger than the adult female parabacillus. So again, we got some traction with some nifty native easy stick bugs here, and this will be my chance to really get their numbers up. Maybe even so much that by the time that I move, I'm able to have a gigantic mesh cage with dozens, or well, I guess we're already at dozens, hundreds of both of them in it, and have them readily commercially available to all the eager stick bug people who don't want to introduce something wildly destructive to their area in the case of escapes. So, but again, yeah, this is probably pre-subadult. And I think they started hatching. I don't think I had the cubes set up when JoJo was here, so it must have been around January, or around the new year, maybe a little before. So this is 2.5 months of growth. So to get from hatchling to adulthood is about 3-4 months, 3-ish, 4-ish months. So yeah, pretty fast. Again, the largest North American insect, longest North American insect. But the cedar strain gets smaller than they do on other diets. But that might change. We'll see. Maybe I'll start picking for bigger females as a separate project and see how big I can make them. You are hardwired at 1 generation a year, it looks like, with the adults living for, depending on sex, 3 to 8 months ish, which is not that long for a big stick bug when there are some species that can live for years, but at the same time, it's kind of nice to get a break from taking care of them, because the eggs, I had an egg cup, labeled it July, it was like halfway through July something, and then they started hatching. I remember it was 5 months later, so 5 months out from July is December. Okay, so they started hatching in mid-December. So 5 months of waiting since I cupped up all the eggs. So maybe 5 to 7 months of just incubation for megaphasma eggs. Nothing special. Just a high ventilation deli cup. Kept the substrate moist. That was it. So 5 to 7 months incubation. 3 to 4 months to maturity, and where's maybe a little bit ahead of a year, under a little bit under a year for everything, but you're still kind of stuck. It's basically a year cycle. Need to figure out stick bug husbandry. Lose all the nymphs in falling leaf litter. They love to hide. What species, Eric? If you got 2 options here that I can tell you are some of the easiest bugs to rear. As long as you have the fresh host for both of these, it's ridiculously easy. Zen Monkey says east of Modesto, California's Ansel Adams Wilderness including Thousands Islands Lake, Ansel Adams Fave Sierra Lake. All right. That could be it. Could be. Again, we will never know. This person is probably not even active on the forum where the stuff was posted. It's within their range, that's for sure. But yeah, it's suspected Acutacauda. LC, what species Acutacauda? What? What genus, species? 9,833 feet elevation of that lake seems unlikely for stick bugs. Now, you'd say that, but people would also say that Michigan's climate is entirely unsuitable for stick bugs, and yet I have, at least as of a couple of years ago, I was still finding diaphragmera in my backyard here. So don't, as these things can grow so fast when conditions are right, and those eggs are so durable. Just any. Elsie, I'm having a difficult time. I don't know. Are you looking? Is it a bug that has the species name of Acuticauda? Eliotes Acuticauda or Acutus or Acuta? I guess I need more. What is the full Latin name of what you're asking for? I guess is what I'm wondering about. The striped one, says Eric Matthews, Anisomorpha buprestroides or ferruginea. That's another easy one, and I lose all the nymphs in falling leaf litter. They love to hide. It's fine for them to be in there, and actually, when I was in Alabama, there were Anisomorpha out that were like third or fourth instar. So I think that the ones that get laid earlier in the summer, they can actually they surely must overwinter as nymphs, even when there is not fresh vegetation growing. And Anisomorpha seem to, as long as there's some moisture to it, seem fine with eating like dead vegetation. They hibernate as adults here, Alan says. Well, I mean, when we were there in January, I found that one that was only about this big. Again, it must have been like fourth instar. So it seems like maybe there's a large number of them that hibernate as adults, and then other ones just kind of whatever stage they end up being at. But yeah, Anisomorpha will just eat basil. If you can grow infinite basil, or are willing to buy like those whole organic basil plants at like your local human food store, you can just feed them on that. And also they're not very picky about a lot of stuff in that. What's that family called? Caprifolaceae. Stick bug on the loose. I don't know if they've split it up yet, but Caprifolaceae, maybe Viburnum was split out of that. It looks like maybe they were, or if they might have always been a different family. I'm not 100% sure. Which reminds me, here we go. Most botanists now accept the placement of two of the most familiar members of this group, the elderberries and viburnums in the family Adoxaceae. Instead, they were formerly classified as Caprifolaceae. So stuff in that clade of plants they will eat, and a lot of those are ornamentals and are also, in your area, probably evergreen. Eliotes Acuticauda. I used to keep that species a while ago, and I think I bred them very sparingly, like got multiple generations, but very sparingly. Right now, the similar species to that I am breeding and have gotten multiple generations out of is Eliotes Schultzii. Schultzii, yeah. Eliotes Schultzii. And working on Alan, the Eliotes acuta larvae that you gave me have like doubled in size. Like they're gigantic. And I'm kind of nervous because I'm not sure if I want to cool them, because with Eliotes obscurus and suturalis, if you cool the large larvae, it will trigger them to pupate when you warm them up. But I don't know if acuta are like that. I feel like they should be. So I might, with my next round of Eliotes husbandry, with my beetle husbandry coming up probably next week, I might end up pulling some of the largest larvae, isolating them, and waiting for them to pupate. Yeah, Anisomorpha buprestoides. Ferruginea has the same care too. Alan says he peeled off bark in the dead of winter and once and got sprayed by 50 adults. It's great. Yeah, this is just reminding me that my Ocala skeleton Anisomorpha are having a big hatch right now, and that I should probably go down the block. And there's a big Japanese honeysuckle over by like one of the paths. There's a couple of paths through like there's just some paths through like little wood lots, and I should probably grab some of those and toss them in with the Ocala Anisomorpha just to up the survivability of the babies. Probably might have to run and do that after the stream, which is going to wrap up in 5 minutes. We've gone through an hour already, everybody. Has anybody noticed some background noise while we're in here, like extra bug noises? I don't know if the mic picks it up, but I've got captive bred Romalia microptera laxahatchees going at it right now. They're making a ton of noise in the tank, which is behind me. It's another thing I would like to raise in larger numbers and more efficiently is lubber grasshoppers. And another thing that is just like, well, need more space to do that. Basically, would need a whole rack and just say, okay, here's the egg cups go here, the adults go here, and the nymphs go here. All I hear is a scream of a ghost. That might be the fan right over yonder. Might be. So I guess I'll wrap up thinking about some other stuff. What is a good mic to use like yours? What is this? It's a Blue Yeti. It's basically, I asked like, hey, what do like streamers, like starting streamers, use for their like rigs? And I think this is the one that I was recommended. I'm gonna go ahead and put our little Megaphasma friend away. You go up nice and big, buddy. You get nice and big for me, please. You know, there was a stick bug that we collected in Central Texas the one year, and I tried to raise it, and they didn't do well. We found them on mesquite. Yeah, it was on mesquite. And now I'm wondering, you know, hey, could I have kept those like Megaphasma? Would they have switched to red cedar? Is what I now think. Oh, let's see if my micropore tape has come in yet. Arriving tomorrow by 10 p.m. Great. I have to delay other things I have to do waiting for the micropore tape to be here. Cool. Okay. A little salty. How difficult are grasshoppers? More work than the majority of people want to do to have a pet grasshopper is the answer. It's a lot of food. They're not very picky about food, but it's a lot of food, a lot of daily care, a lot of waiting for, especially if you want to raise a good number of them and continuously over time. It's a lot of waiting. It can be kind of frustrating. I had a surprise hatch of horse lubber grasshoppers. I think it was in fall that I was not expecting to hatch in like 4 or 5 months. I was expecting 8 months to 2 years. It was not in that case that long. And I think maybe 10 to 12 of them hatched, and I funneled them into an enclosure, and I tried to give them the best start, and I ended up losing all but like 4 or 5. I thought, okay, this is great. And we'll just keep perpetuating them until, kind of like they do in the wild, keep perpetuating them until conditions are good and I can give them a bunch of space and a bunch of proper food and blah, blah, blah. Really put the effort into taking care of them. And then they all mature and they were all females. It's like, okay, well, this is now like 2 years down the drain, because there was the first one that I got that laid eggs, and then I had to raise up the next generation of those, and then those laid eggs, and I had to raise up the generation of those, which is what I produced, and it was a dead end. It sucked. So it can be like that, and I'd like to find some ways to make it not like that, but people want if people want rainbow grasshoppers in the future, it's going to be an involved process, and I will work on that. I do like grasshoppers a lot. Again, all these hemimetabolic insects have a soft spot right here, maybe right here for them. Are you shipping any grasshoppers right now, Eric? Am I shipping them? Yes, but I am likely sold out. They are one of the most heavily requested things on the website, and I swear the second I tell somebody that I have them, there's a bunch of other people that just start messaging me for them. So there's a bunch of the males are going off for some dissection course, and I need to see how many pairs I have left after regular order of somebody who's going to be raising them or what have you goes out next week. So green stripes, yes, Melanoplis are pretty easy, but the problem with a lot of grasshoppers is you get that huge gush. It's kind of like crickets, but crickets are easier because you can just feed them dog food. But it's like crickets where you get this huge gush of babies, and that's their most vulnerable point is when you have 500 babies and they need constant food and they need space and they need heat and they need moisture, and it's a lot of work getting them started. And then once they're bigger, you can kind of coast and I'll put a couple egg cups in, they'll lay eggs. You got a little bit of it's easier going then, but to make them really commercially viable or make them viable as a feeder, it's so much work when you get a hatch. And then again, if you don't have a big enough hatch or you screw up and you end up with just a handful at maturity, then you're looking at you could just lose your stock, and then you're kind of out. So, but I mean, I've bred, and by bred I mean I've gotten usually wild caughts and then had them lay eggs and then raised up the eggs to adulthood, but didn't get another generation from there. So by that definition, lubbers, horse lubbers. I mean, this is like F3 or F4 on the Loxahatchees now because I really like them. Those spring two-striped grasshoppers. The Latin's escaping me. Melanoplis differentialis, Melanoplis bivitatis, and was it Dactylodium bicolor? The two strains, I guess two subspecies technically of rainbow grasshopper I have bred, and it will be easier in the future with some techniques and some other stuff that I'm refining, but rainbow grasshoppers actually aren't very difficult to keep. It's like the same as the lubbers. It's just a heat lamp, and then make sure that they have some sort of fresh food in the form of lettuce. Lettuce is a good go-to for just so much stuff. I've tried using kale and cabbage and all kinds of other greens, but stuff just doesn't seem to do as well. And the thing with Brassicaceae, like the collards and kale and stuff, is once it starts to rot in the enclosure, the whole room just stinks. It just gets very disgusting. So I stick with dog food and lettuce, and that works for everything that I've worked with recently. It's nice when you have a lot of grasshoppers to just put the head of lettuce in, and then they eat it at a rate that exceeds its rotting or going bad or drying out. So you never end up having there's never any waste. They just chew right through it. You add another one, they chew right through it, etc. So actually, speaking of the grasshoppers, I have a couple egg cups I just rehydrated today of what's this? This is Gryllus pennsylvanicus. I had a small hatch when I didn't cool it for very long, and then I got annoyed, so I threw it back in the fridge, and I hydrated it again, so we're going to see what comes of that. And this should have Alonemobius fasciatus crickets in it, but it's also got, I think I had a differential hop into the house in the fall, and I just thought, well, you have an agenda, so I threw it in this cup, and it laid some eggs, so we're going to hopefully get a hatch of the local differentials out of here as well. We'll see. So anyways, everybody, it's been an exciting Roach Wiggle, but I apparently have to run down the street to grab some honeysuckle, and Chris and I need to get to work tonight. So we'll wrap the stream up now. I'll see everybody next week. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and list that group of the Borneo leaf mimics in here. Oops. Do an add everyone. Special group. 100 mixed Epilamprine species Kota Kina Balu. Borneo leaf mimic. $100 shipped to first commenter. All right, that's up. Now I won't feel bad about cutting the colony up. So thanks everybody for joining me. I'm glad I got to show you some bugs this time. Next time I'll probably have more bugs to show. Again, I'm very stressed, but I'm like so immersed in the stress right now that it's kind of, we've rolled over. We've rolled through the bottom of being stressed out. Now we're like, oh, I guess everything's kind of screwy right now, so it's okay. So we're back at the top, I suppose. So hoping to see screen sharing. Me too. I cannot wait to show off all kinds of stuff on that in the future. Again, I'm hopeful at this point that the world of roach crossing will be extremely different 365 days from now. I'm holding myself to that vision, and I think it's going to happen. So, anyways, thanks for joining me, everybody. I'll see you all next week, and until then and beyond, may your cultures ever be bountiful. Good night, everybody, except for Chris. No good night to you yet.